Since the early 19th century, hundreds of thousands of immigrants from Poland set sail chasing dreams of a better life, free from poverty and war, sometimes simply out of curiosity about the world. For the next 200 years, the wave of migration never ceased. Emigration is a part of our DNA. You'll find Poles on every continent. Some of them found success, others faced struggle. But wherever we went, we brought more than just suitcases. We got heart, resilience, hard work, and a deep drive to contribute to society. From small towns to big cities, Polish immigrants have left their mark. Join us as we explore the stories of Polish immigrants who changed their lives and the lives of the places they came to.
My name is Łukasz Rzeczkowski. I came to this country, to the UK, in 2000 to complete my sixth form. I was already in a boarding school in Poland, in Gdynia, in a very prestigious school. And so I was and those were the days before the European Union. And I was very curious to explore the world. I was lucky enough to take part in a competition run by Towarzystwo Szkół Zjednoczonego Świata. I was the first Polish scholar in the school. I did my sixth form and undergraduate degree, and then I came to London, and then I completed my master's, and I started working and kind of settled down in London ever since. I remember a lot of students were complaining about, oh, you know, we have to study, and they were rich kids. I was the only poor kid in a classroom. And I remember saying at the breakfast one day, you know, someone comes to our room and cleans the room. We have our ironed shirts. All we have to do is eat, study, and play sports. I mean, what's not to like? And it was just incredible. So for me, it was a different perspective. And I was somewhat person that they loved and hated at the beginning, because I was very intense. I talked a lot about Poland. There was a lot of Chinese students at the time. They were like, you know, who's this guy? You know, he doesn't fit in any of the boxes. There was an Indian community. In West Midlands, there's a huge Indian population of the people who sort of came to the country, and then the second, third generation. But the school overall at the time was incredible. I ended up being a head boy of the school, which is a pretty big institution in the school. So then I finished high school. I went to Warwick University, studying economics, politics, international studies. Again, I really enjoyed the studies. I think we were just before going into the EU accession. You know, Poland was very active player. I was doing internships. I really enjoyed my degree. I was also a founder of the Polish Society at the University of Warwick, because we realized at the time there was maybe 10 of us, and I really wanted to know who's Polish on campus. Eventually, when I finished the degree, I ended up going to London to start my finance career. Everyone wanted to be either in consulting or investment banking. I remember I did industrial placement in my university. So I worked for EU institutions, and I was crossed whether I should become a diplomat, maybe I should work in Brussels, because I did travel to Brussels a few times, and I've realized that although I was really interested, the pace of it and the nature of the work wasn't for me. So then I went, and obviously London at the time was an epicenter of Europe. And that was fantastic. I loved it again. So I was really happy, like whatever choices I made throughout my life, I think I made right choices. And obviously the big moment happened where suddenly I'm at the very accomplished level in the bank. I have a nice, stable career, pays really well, and it's very sort of satisfying. And then one of my best friends says, you know, let's jump ship, let's start something new. And it was driven by his personal story, and I was partially involved because I was helping as well. And essentially my friend lost his mother to cancer. And I had some similar situations in the family as well. I think we all have someone who experienced cancer in the family. So for us, we were very eager to solve the problem. How do you give people a fighting chance? How do you connect the dots globally? The first business that we created is called Trustedoctor. We wanted to create a place where people know that they go for very difficult diseases with very rare tumors. They can go in and they could speak to someone the other side of the world, and they can get an opinion, a fighting chance, and maybe new treatment. At the time, there was nothing. I mean, right now, it's so easy for us to say virtual care, video calls. At the time, doctors were not doing video calls. Only maybe family doctors were doing this. So no oncologist, especially prestigious and accomplished oncologists, no one wanted to do this. But then we created this this network of best leaders. And so suddenly, once we gathered momentum, all the doctors in different countries, they actually wanted to be part of this network. And we built the network, we created a platform, but then we realized there's another problem in cancer, that if you get the opinion, you still don't have the money to pay for treatment, especially if it's a global treatment. So then we've realized that after a few pivots, we kind of pivoted from just selling technology into creating an insurance product for cancer. And then with that, we started to work with various players, and eventually we merged with a sort of insurance player in 2020, just before COVID. We start talking, and then throughout the COVID, we've realized we have to be together. So eventually we created world's biggest cancer insurance business. Right now, we're probably covering around 4.5 million people in 40 countries. We're very big in Poland, very big in China, very big in Central Eastern Europe. So that was a beautiful story, which ended up in a place where we actually sold the business to a fund, at which point we've exited. So I'm still a shareholder, but I'm no longer operational. I think we come to a point that we've done our bit. We felt like the job is done. So we've sold the business, and then I had this existential vacuum in my head. What am I supposed to do? Do I go back to banking? Do I become a VC investor? I'm a loyal soldier. So me and Greg, we said, okay, so we've done cancer and difficult diseases, but what if we can almost anticipate diseases? Or what if we take a step back and we look at medicine? Because I think my impression is that medicine, although in cancer, the subspecialty matters, I believe medicine is taught wrongly, because medicine is compartmentalized by disease, and no one is looking at the whole spectrum of connections between diseases. So I said, what if we could take a step back and look at medicine, not from a disease perspective, isolated, but as a pathway, as a journey, because as we grow and as we age, and actually longevity, I mean, I guess I don't like that word, because it's not about just living longer, it's about living better for longer, so your health span. And when we looked at aging, as we age, there are trade-offs in our body, and it's a sequence of events. So sometimes when we get to certain disease, is a collection of processes in our body that has to happen to get to the disease. So I thought to myself, what if we could study these pathways? And again, I have a friend that I knew. She was very good in longevity. She did her PhD early age. and she's been always sort of, she's in one of the best institute. So we started scouting the market, and we used to come to her and say, what do you think? You're the expert. And she was very annoyed with us that we bring her stuff that is just half cooked. And actually in longevity space, there's a lot of good research, but also there's a lot of misconceptions. So we start analyze the market, and we've realized, first of all, there's no single FDA approved drug for aging till today. So we spend billions of dollars and we have nothing. Stars aligned again to formulate the business. I brought Greg from my last business. I guess he was interested as well, so it was kind of an amalgamation. Karina brought her sister, who's a lawyer and a negotiator. So we brought a spectrum of capabilities. We brought loads of advisors, and we set up a company called LinkGevity. And again, I can't take full credit for many things because like I said, it's not my work of science, but I came up with the name because I realized, I said, we're linking diseases and longevity, and we already have a first drug, which is a novel drug called anti-necrotic. So essentially, we found a pathway to stop cell necrosis, which is a kind of, in layman's term, is an irreversible death of cells, tissues, organs. And we've noticed that this necrosis process is everywhere. It's in many diseases, is in non-clinical, but also in clinical. So I think, again, that mission, that passion that we have in our heads is almost unfolding. And yeah, I'm very excited. In order to do what you do, you have to be driven. You have to have some sort of good reason to wake up in the morning, and to have, to have the raw energy to execute. I've always been part of some organizations. I'm also part of the Polish City Club, which is an organization that's been around for 21 years. And it started off as a group of bankers and lawyers coming together in the city, but now it's much more. It's very much of a reflection of different parts of the society and also different interest groups. So we have entrepreneurs, artists, and we try to also bring the best of. We bring non-Poles, we bring guest speakers, and also we try to bridge the conversation, dialogue between the people who came from Poland to the UK, but also the Polish diaspora that was maybe the second or third generation. So I like that. And anything I do with business-wise, there's always a Polish DNA. Trustedoctor has an office in Poland. In LinkGevity, we'll also have a subsidiary in Poland. So whatever I do, I think there's that component. I'm really proud of being Polish. And I think it was very interesting because I was asked many times, why don't I come back to Poland? And and obviously, if the time is right, I probably will. But what I've also noticed is I'm much more, I'm a better ambassador of Poland here than maybe I would be contributing back in Poland.